A video went viral, man, of you crying when you were speaking on your beef with M. How you feel about the reactions you're getting? Because you got some people that feel like M might use that against you, you crying.
How can he use anything? Rap Elvis already destroyed him. I already killed him with Rap Elvis. Where's he at? Where's the response? I want to battle him face to face. I think he's overrated. I think he sucks as a rapper. And it's anybody that's with him. I bombed on him. I'm going to continue to bomb on him. I'm going to continue to expose him. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, people are waking up to his bullshit, and it is what it is. I'm going to go down in history as the Eminem slayer. But right now it's Eminem. You know what I'm saying? I stand on everything I said. I stand on everything I've been saying. And Rap Elvis destroyed him. I'm still waiting for the response. If he don't, I'm going to drop another one.
You feel like you're going to respond?
He better. He better. You know what I'm saying? And I want to make this clear too. As far as Eminem's fans, they're the softest, most, you know what I'm saying, cuddly hip hop fans out there. They ain't no threat. I'm saying. Who they a threat to? You know what I mean? Teddy bears. You know what I'm saying? I don't regret crying. I've cried before. Shit. I got no problem crying. You know, I need to cry because it helps me from probably not hurting somebody. It probably helps me from not hurting myself or people around me. You know, I grew up hard, you know, yeah, you know, crying, a lot of people can look at it as weak, especially these young guys, because that's all we got out there. When I was young, I never cried either. My 8-year-old holds in his cry when I'm mad at him or something, he holds his cry in. He does not want to cry. All my sons did that when I grew up because I'm hard and I expect that out of them. But you know what? Being hard and living like that for so long, that'll kill you or get you killed. So me being vulnerable and me understand what vulnerability is now and me understanding that crying is healthy for me, I don't have any regrets for that, you know, because, you know, I'm still Benzino. Motherfuckers still get out of line with me. I'm going to handle him in ways that he's not even going to be thinking about me crying. I'm not hard to find, numero uno, and dos. I'm everywhere without security. So anybody feel like they want to test a crybaby or someone who cry, you know what I'm saying? I welcome it. You know, like I felt better after I cried, actually. I felt good, you know what I'm saying? The drunk thing I didn't like, but I've cried before and it made me feel better. I got things built up inside me that need to come out. It's better to come out than on one of them.
Okay, so you ready to go there. If he responds, you got to net it this way then. Okay. But I want to ask you, man, how did all this start between you and M?
I mean, this is a long time situation. I just was saying that in a time where Black people in the ghettos and Latino people, because in the ghettos, that's what it was. A lot of Black people, and there was a section of Latino people in every single city in America. The word ghetto was a Jewish term. They was in the ghettos first. And now we found ourselves in the ghettos. So, you know, hip hop came and really saved our culture, our people, at a time where, you know, crack came and the gangs, the guns, the gang banging, the lives. You know, as Black people, we had never been through that before. You know, in the 50s, the 40s, the 60s, Black people wasn't killing Black people like that. That was something new to us. The you know, Black killing Blacks, gangs on gangs. That was something that was new. And then when the crack came, it was an epidemic, and it was an epidemic. It was worse. It was the worst thing that our culture probably ever experienced. So here comes hip hop, and hip hop is born out of the struggle, out of the poverty, out of the horrible conditions, out of the ghetto. In my eyes and in my spirit, I look at it as hip hop was given to us by God. Because when you look at hip hop, you can look at it as a music, but it really is a movement. And when I say that is, it's like you have guys out, when you look at the South Bronx back in the day, the South Bronx in the 70s looked at like, I mean, it looked just as worse as anything that you would see overseas that had been through a war. Like the South Bronx was fucked up, and Black people were living and Latino people were living in those conditions. And that was around the same time where people from the Caribbean was all coming to New York, Black people. But they was coming to a place that, that was horrible for them to live in, to try to raise a family, to try to get a piece of this American dream. And when hip hop came, it was born out of that, So we can't take that for granted, So hip hop started thriving. Now people are starting to make money from hip hop because the white community is looking at this like, yo, this art, this dancing, this music, this is dope. This is probably the first time they're looking at us in a way, in a good way, in a good light. I'm sure R&B artists before them and artists before them, white people came and listened. Music is really what has bridged the gap with us and white people. I mean, when you can take that back to the early black and white videos. I'm just saying, when it comes to hip hop, the street guy, the guy that everybody forgets about, the guy like the kid that nobody wants to deal with, that's where hip hop came from. So hip hop, you have a kind of like a ladder of Black people in society at all times. Where hip hop was birthed from was at the last, was like the low part of the totem pole, the lowest part of the totem pole. Like nobody wanted to deal with these niggas, criminals, crooks, no money. I mean, nobody even wanted to trust them. Even if you wasn't robbing nobody, you're still looked upon as that back then and still now. But I'm just saying, hip hop gave us an identity to the world, like, yo, these people are dope and these people are great. That particular part of Black people, like the forgotten, the back and forth to jail, the you're on probation, to have a couple of kids on child support, like those guys, the drug dealer, the drug user. These guys, and now hip hop's coming into the neighborhoods, to the core of the neighborhoods, and starting to shed some light on it, putting some money in people's pockets. People who can't get jobs. When you come out of jail, it's hard as hell to get a job. Not in hip hop. All kind of things you can do and you can be. Hip hop's thriving. Source magazine, I know. I watched it, money-wise. I'm a kid that hustled his entire life selling drugs in the streets until it was finally like, oh, we're making real money from the source, to the late 90s. Then it's like, all right, I don't got to sell drugs no more. Hip hop changed our lives. It changed my life. It's the reason why I'm living. It's the reason why the people around me are living. Everybody in Boston been shot. Everybody in Boston, so many people are dead in like a little 15, 20-mile radius of what Black Boston is. The outside, everything else is racist. They hate my guts because of my color. That's what I grew up in. But hip hop saved me, and it saved everybody else. And we're bringing white people to our culture. We don't need to have a white rapper to bring white people, because white people are coming. People are going gold with no radio. That means white people are buying into our culture. Like when Russell Simmons signed Beastie Boys, we didn't look at Beastie Boys as a white rap group. We just looked at them as rappers, because hip hop was inclusive. Hip hop was everybody, breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, rapping, the fashion. Everybody had something to do with it. Every color. It's not saying, no, you're white, you can't rap. Nobody looked at that. The Beastie Boys was part of my heroes, as well as Run DMC and Houdini and everybody else that was on the Fresh Fest. So it wasn't like that. Eminem comes. Now, when Eminem came, MTV was an all rock type situation. They barely even wanted to give Michael some run. Prince, they had to go crazy, because just trying to get Black artists on MTV was like crazy. And their excuses were like, well, wait a minute, we're a rock. And since rock is white, then that means that we don't want no niggas on MTV. Y'all go over there to BET. You know what I'm saying? That happened. When Eminem came in, Hip hop had already been established. MTV was already, you know what I'm saying? Eminem comes in and just gets all his videos played at all times, gets whatever he wants at MTV. It was just too obvious. What happened was the labels figured that, look, we have all these white kids. Okay, it was like a gift and a curse. Number one, we're making all this money from hip hop and they see where all the money is. But they realized that there was a part, and they see that white America, portions of white America are fucking with hip hop and fucking with black people. Now they had a coin type of thinking, one flip. On one hand, it's like, on one side of the coin, it's like, yeah, that's dope. White kids are buying, you know what I'm saying? And the labels, we can make all this money. But then the other hand is like, but wait a minute. These young kids are being influenced by these black kids, and we better calm the down with that. We better relax on that. You know, we don't, you know, Lil Johnny and Sally might have too many black people on their walls, too many posters right now. We gotta chill out from that. And that's where the Eminem thing came in. Now, they looked at Eminem like, listen, he can rap his ass off. Black America's fucking with him, you know, like fucking right. You know what I'm saying? And we'll put him around some Detroit guys, all black. You know, you got to understand, he was born in St. Joe's, Missouri. St. Joseph's, Missouri. St. Joe's. It's not St. Joe's, Missouri.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where he was born until he lived there till he was like 10 years old. You know, from 1 to 10, your mind is being shaped on what your parents are looking at America as. It's not really your mind. It's really, as from 1 to 10, it's really your parents' mind is in you, guiding you. That's a fact. You're too young to even think on your own, to even figure it out, to even put things together. So from 1 to 10, you're your parents. Now, if he grew up in St. Joe's where there's no blacks there, all right, and his parents most likely didn't fuck around with black people, his views of black people are very minimal, are very probably contorted, are very like, his views of black people are probably like whatever any other white person's views of a black person was who wasn't around him in that part of the country. They didn't fuck with us. Now, because I say that, doesn't mean white America has to get mad at me at this moment. That's what white America has to stop doing. You don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to be, because at the end of the fucking day, this happened and this is what it is. We can all work it out and be together as one. I'm all for it. But don't get mad at me or any black person when they bring up what happened in the past or how it happened or how white America with us. That's what white America has to stop doing. Because I notice white America gets mad about anything that we might bring up in the past because they just want to block it out. That's cool. That's cool, but that's y'all. Have some empathy. Part of getting along, part of fixing this racial division is to have empathy, and let's all talk it out. And let's all figure it out. But do not get upset at a person explaining a story or explaining a situation of racism. That's what white America has to stop doing. Number 2, he was born in St. Joseph's, Missouri from 1 to 10, right? At some point, the mother moved to Michigan. Now, Michigan, when you look at Michigan, Detroit, it's funny because Detroit is one of the blackest, most amazing black cities. I got history in Detroit since the 80s. Detroit is like an amazing, coming from Boston, you go to Detroit and it's like, this is a black city. And it's like, whoa, and music and culture and black people got jobs and money. And like Detroit, there was nothing better than Detroit at one time as far as for black people. Detroit for a black man was the city, is what Atlanta is now, what Detroit was back then when it was popping. So, but Michigan is a lot of white people. And it's not like they're rich white people like in LA, bougie. Nah, these are hardworking white people. Like I kind of, since all this, I've kind of not studied it, but when I look at Michigan, when I look at the Detroit Lions, when I look at the fans, when I look at shit like that, I can see, you understand what I'm saying? What the type of person of what a Michigan white person, especially this 22 years of going with this situation with me and Eminem. And they're hardworking white people. They're not necessarily, I wouldn't say they're racist, but they're proud of being white, of who they are up there in Michigan. So Marshall goes to Michigan and he gets with 2 other white guys and they start rapping. And they start having the Rap Racist album. Now, when all this is going on, mind you, I'm at the source. I don't know everything. I'm just giving you both. I'm at the Source magazine. The Source is starting to really, really, take off. We're a magazine of music, politics, news, culture. It's just not. We really cover everything that has to do with hip hop. That's what was great about the Source magazine. That's what made all the copy magazines come after it, because we laid the blueprint of hip hop journalism. To this day, will go down in history as the blueprint of hip hop journalism, and the Hip Hop Award Show will be the blueprint. A lot of things will be the blueprint. Will go down in history. The Source. So I'm looking at, like, when I'm at the Source, and here comes Marshall Mathers, and you know what I'm saying, everybody praising him. In my mind, they're praising him because he's white. And then I'm seeing all the and yeah, he could rap, but the praise he was getting, it was because he was white. I don't care what anybody has to say. I don't care. We could debate till the cows come home. It was obvious. That's why MTV gave him carte blanche. That's why at the MTV Awards gave him carte blanche. That's why Showtime, everything that was out, that was big platforms, he got it. All these other artists that been paving the way, that been killing them, can't even get near the type of treatment and platform and all the extras that he's getting. And it's not fair. And me being the Source magazine, I don't got to answer nobody. We the Source. I'm the one that should be able to say it. I'm the one that, to me, I'm the one that through God said it. I know it sounds crazy, but God, you watch the Book of Clarence, it made me think differently. You never know who God will choose to represent, to speak for, to waking up. You never know. Same thing with Martin and Malcolm. Martin went to Boston University. Malcolm got locked up and was in the streets in Boston. It all makes sense to me. Believe me, like, what I'm saying, hip hop, if I never said it and no one never said it, it wouldn't be as still going on 20 years later and as big as it is, because it meant something. I just felt that hip hop was given to us by God. It was something that brought white people to us, something that bridged the gap between the cultures, between especially white and black. And I felt like when they brought him in, it was to divide it. And that's what they've done now. Because there's a whole bunch of white people who fuck with Marshall, who just don't fuck with black people, period. They was never going to fuck with hip hop, but because he raps and he's white and they know the number one influence over culture is hip hop. So if he's the number one hip hop artist, then he's over us. It gives them, they deal with white supremacy through him. It's not even about the music. The people that go on and big him up all day and lift him up, it's more of a white supremacy thing. It's more of a we're white, we're better than you as usual thing. And that's how I've always looked at it. Can he rap? When people say that, it just disturbs me, man. Yo, but he can rap. It's not like, what does that mean, he can rap? This is bigger than rap. Hip hop has always been bigger than rap. And him and his white guys made the Rap Racist Hour. He did it when he was 21 years old. The label came out and said he was 16. And he had a black girlfriend. Now look at how they insulted our black people's intelligence. Look at how Universal at the moment, and Jimmy Iovine, insulted the intelligence of black people around the world. They're in a room. Man, we got to fix this. What are we going to say? A lot of PR people that's getting big money. All we got to say is that he was 16 when he did it. 16, because people figure, hey, he's a kid. Kids make mistakes. He had a black girlfriend. Let's say she was black and she broke his heart. Now let's just take this scenario as two intelligent men. At 16 years old, when you look at what he looked like and how he was coming up, there is no fucking way on earth he was in love with the girl. I don't even think he was getting pussy. He was awkward. I mean, there are pictures. You could just see it. Let alone a black girl. You was in love with a black girl at 16 years old, no pictures. So this was the excuse on why you made the song. The song's called Foolish Pride, where it's calling all black women bitches and hoes and whores, and they just want you for your money and blah, 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 blah. We did our homework. The cassette was made by Maxell. Remember Maxell?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
There was Memorex and Maxell. Those were the cassettes. We did our homework and found out that the serial number on the cassette, the tape was made when he was 21 years old. Two of his guys showed up in Dave's office one day. The white guys, his best friends that he grew up with, was in the rap group with, that made the tape with, brought us the tape. They was trying to sell it for 50,000. I bought it for 15. Had all kind of racist shit on it. They said he was 21 when he made it. But Universal really, and then he made a song called Yellow Brick Road, where in the song he apologized. I still haven't even listened to that song. As much as we go through as black people in hip hop, being locked up, being killed, all this stuff that has to do with women and rape and all this stuff that black men have to go through and stand their face accountable for. This man never, ever was held accountable for none of that. He never got up in front of a press conference. He never got up in front of nothing and said, I apologize. Listen, to this day, he hasn't. And what Universal did was insult every black person in America. You know, I mean, listen, these are all old things that people will get in the comment section and, hey man, you don't get enough of it. Hey, but you asked me. You asked me. 22 years later, you asked me, hey, how did this you and Eminem thing started? And I'm just answering. And this is what I'll get bombarded for. It's 100 comments, disrespectful comments from white people a day. No, not a day. It's about 400 or 500 a day. But every couple of hours is 100. And I've been going through this for over 20-something years. Now, I'm not scared for my life. It hasn't affected my well-being. No one has ever in their life come up to me in person and say any of the shit that they say on here regarding the Eminem situation or any situation. I travel alone all across this country as I do my hostings and walkthroughs. I do them alone because, you know, right now the money it's not enough to pay niggas to come with me. And I never had security. I always had my guys, if anything, but I travel alone. And anytime I land, I'm landing in these are cities of still struggling, amazing black people, and they love me. The love I get is ridiculous from the hoods across America. Like, some of them get it. Some people get it, and it's all right. I've had millions of dollars, my G, and I've had nothing. And I'm the same Benzino. Nothing's ever changed. I gave away half of my fortune. I've helped more people. I've given, money never really meant anything to me as much as it did for the look of a person or the feeling of a person that I've helped once I've helped them. That shit is priceless.
So when you look at M, right, do you personally, your personal opinion, do you feel like he's racist?
I feel like M's like separated himself so much from the hip hop culture to where I think he, you know, of course, I don't know, because he has black guys around him, but I don't think he really 100%, like, I don't want people to think like Eminem is just like power to the people and black people. I don't think that. Racist, I don't know. Because like I said, you know, he's separated from the culture. He doesn't come around. There's a few guys that he feels comfortable with, but anybody else, I think he's had bodyguards and security with him his whole life. He wouldn't even feel comfortable being in a room of black men that he didn't even know. I don't think he would ever feel, I think he would internally, things would go on inside of him because he's kept himself, and maybe Paul Rosenberg and maybe the powers that have just separated him from the black culture. Hip hop is the black culture. Sure that hip hop is for everybody, but still hip hop is still the dominant of the black culture. And the thing is, they've held on to him so long that there isn't another white rapper to carry the torch. So what are they going to do now? That's why they have to keep bigging him up. At 53 years old, he'll be 60 something. Like, it won't stop because there's nobody else for them to feel dominant over our culture. There's nobody else that came and took the torch. So that's why they're holding on to him so much. Because his music, let's face it, bro. Like, let's face it, his music is not what black people are listening to, and it's outdated. His beats are outdated. The last music he's dropped, it really doesn't resonate with black culture. Like, let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, the music that he's been dropping just isn't what we've, in the last, say, 3-4 years. And mind you, he gave me a hard time for rapping in my 40s and 50s. And here he is still making, you know what I'm saying? He's detached. His music is so detached from what hip hop is now that he, you know, I mean, it really is, it's divided. It's white people listen to that shit and we listen and we don't. And let's just be honest. The reason why his fans hold on is because who else do they have to hold as the overseer of our culture, the best, the supreme? They don't got nobody else and nothing else. Once he goes, that's it. It's over. A lot of white people will feel like they don't have a seat at the table anymore. And they're trying to hold that seat as hard as they can and as long as they can. But once he goes, that's it. Jack Harlow, he raps too black. He sounds too black. Machine Gun Kelly could have, but even Machine Gun Kelly getting on Bad Boy is just too black. Eminem was the white that the white needed because his music is white now. But it's white rap, white hip hop. But they don't understand, and what they don't get is that they separated it. Hip hop was always inclusive. They just didn't want to be a part of it from the start. And they use him. Eminem could literally come out with some hickory dickory dock shit tomorrow and they'll go double platinum. All they want to do is keep buying his shit because in their mind, if he's the top selling artist, then he'll go out in history as the best, i.e. Elvis. He's the best over a culture of 1,000 rappers and black rappers who are the shit. That's how it'll go in history after me and you are dead when they look back. Who sold the most? Eminem. Well, he must have been the greatest. White people live for history. Black people live for the moment.
That was actually fascinating hearing you break that down because some of that stuff I didn't know. Do you feel like Eminem was a plant?
It's not even, see, people use plant like, Eminem was definitely sat around a table and planned. So if that's it, if that's what a plant is, you know what I'm saying? In my mind, if that's what a plant is, then he was planned. That was a plan. They seen how much money hip hop was making, and they seen a whole country of white people that they could sell to, that wouldn't give a fuck about black culture in the first place. So that was planned. And when you do that, you divide. You divide. You know, you put him in a city that is probably one of the blackest cities in America, and, you know, as far as history, and put him around a bunch of black guys. Come on. Where was it? The reason his 2 white guys sold him out was because he didn't give a shit about them. He left them. It wasn't no loyalty to them. He came up with them and said, "F them."
So he left them hanging. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I ain't know that, man. But I'm assuming that you was cool with Dre and Jimmy Iovine at one point before your beef with M. How did that affect your relationship with him when you started dissing him?
You know, me and Dre is definitely one of my major influences in hip hop. Like NWA, his music, him rhyme, everything what Dre brought to the table was a major influence on my hip hop life. I separated it. I separated Dre from the M thing. He just produced it. I separated it. Jimmy Iovine, I had just signed my son, Ray, and Baby Pun's son. We got him a deal. And a big deal. They gave us a lot of money. A group called 3 Down. There's a video called Baby Boo. They spent a couple $100,000 with Benny Boone back then, redoing the Bronx Tale. They used the same Bronx Tale bus. It was dope in the Bronx. My grandfather was from the Bronx, my father from Brooklyn. So I have real ties in New York. When Ray Ray got signed to Jimmy, they gave us half the money without even, because you got to go through a process when it comes to kids. They was like 9, 10 years old. My man Vince Herbert got the deal, and it looked like we was going to do big with them. And then the Eminem thing came, and then they dropped them. But that, see, what I probably didn't realize of how big of an impact and what I did was at the time. I really didn't. I mean, I knew what I was doing. If you go look at the Arch Nemesis DVD and see Jay Electronica interviewing me, we was getting pretty deep. There's an interview of me and Jay and Electronica back in the day that we did when he first was coming up. But I really didn't probably know it, because I was a wild boy. I was getting millions of dollars back then, and I was doing all kind of shit. Eminem was just one part of my, but that was when I had all kinds of money, and I was all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And that was just one point. That was one part of my life at that point. It wasn't,
Right. But speaking of M, right, before we get off of him, because you made a comment about him being racist earlier, how does that make you feel when you see black people still support him? If he is racist, because I don't know, but I'm just saying from your point of view, you feel like he's racist. So
it's disappointing. It's disappointing. It's disappointing watching black. Just probably it was like disappointing slavery watching other. I'm sure slaves was like disappointed as black people selling them out. Like this is the history of black people. Disappointing throughout our fucking history. Throughout our history, any type of movement or anything that's ever done good, there's always going to be a Judas. It's always. It's the history of it. You know what I'm saying? Like my thing is, it's easy to go to the Grammys and stick up for one. It's hard to speak up for a whole culture, and that's what I did. I sacrificed everything I was doing with that. I know now. I didn't know then. I was just speaking what God put into me. I came from a place that was a racist place. I seen how the powers that be in hip hop and what they're doing, and it just clicked in me. And I probably was the only one on earth that it could have clicked into. I didn't have to do that. I was rich. I was doing good. I had a hit record. I didn't have to do that. I lost my deal at Elektra. Rock the Party was doing huge. I lost all that because of beefing with Eminem. Because of that's white supremacy. When you start looking at a black man as, like they're looking at me as a threat now. They did everything they could to blacklist me and do everything they could to fuck me over. I got indicted by the feds. I was being investigated for years and years. I mean, believe me, it wasn't easy. I went through a lot.
And I seen that you made a comment saying that, M fans, they only support him and they never support, his artists and people he cool with.
Yeah, hey. I mean, come on. Why not? Because white folks don't fuck with niggas. A lot of his fan base don't fuck with niggas, don't fuck with them niggas. As much as they tap dance and bootlick him, they will never fuck with him. They will never fuck with them. As long as Royce comes out and fights all M's battles and is his mouthpiece to get on every time M fucks up, they will never, ever, they'll use him for just that. At one point, Royce was going at M, but at the end of the day, like I said, Royce and M, they sold a lot of units, Bad versus Evil meets Evil. As soon as Royce puts his shit out, he couldn't even crack 20, 30,000 units. So what's that telling you? That 400,000 white people did not fuck with you, homie. So, chill out with them dance moves. You know what I'm saying? Relax a little bit. Go get some water.
Right. But I want to backtrack, man, to Rap Evans, right? Me and you were speaking about that earlier. And, you made a comment about Proof that had Eminem fans feeling the type of way, man.
It's a dope line. I mean, he's talking gangster shit about shooting and funerals and stop, homie. If you were so gangster, then what? Why wasn't you out there? We know he's not like that. So if you're not like that, you shouldn't be talking about that. Especially when niggas is fighting for their lives over fucking lyrics in court. Black men, motherfucker. You shouldn't be using nothing about bullets and funerals. You should be the last one.
Who was doing reviews for the source back then?
The journalists, it was, the source was separated, the journalism and yeah.
So you had nothing to do with any of the reviews or anything?
Nah, just like I said before, the Eminem situation, the situation with the Made Man, couple other situations, but for the most part, out of 192 covers I was there, I didn't have too much input on that. I let the journalism do their job. The journalists, I'm sorry, do their job.
And M got mad that you rated one of his albums real low, right?
I mean, we was at war. We gave him 2.5. We was at war. What do you expect? He expect he was going to get 4.5 or 5? Like, why you're disrespecting me? It's my magazine. Like, come on. Again, certain things we got to use God gave us common sense. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go to college for 8 years to get common sense. Come on. He's lucky he even got rated. You know what I'm saying? We put him on the cover with a black eye.
I mean, if y'all going back and forth and y'all beefing, I mean, it's petty, but I get why you did it, man. But you made a comment saying that Cassidy, he could beat M in a battle.
He would have been gave it to him. Like 5 years ago, Cass would have chewed M alive. Chewed him. Chewed him. My opinion, I think Cassidy years ago would have did it. Right now, he'll do it. Chew him. And M knows that. How come M ain't never showed up to a battle, one of these URLs or smacks? How come he ain't never showed up? How come B Rabbit ain't showed up, man? Again, nobody cares. He's M.
You feel like he overrated?
Yes. 100%. Well, let me ask you a question. Why don't Eminem do interviews? Why isn't Eminem held to a standard of every other thousands of artists? Why won't Eminem come talk to the black people of hip hop? What is this? Let me ask you that too. Why won't he do interviews? Hip hop is supposed to be outside. It's supposed to be outside. It's supposed to be, why won't he interact with people? Why won't he do interviews? Why is he so scared in 20-something years of his career to do interviews with black media?
Why you think that is?
Because he's scared. Because he's scared, and he'll be exposed. It's easy to keep somebody quiet. Believe me, they know. Because once they open their mouths, that's it. That's who they are. It'll be easy to see. He'll expose himself, obviously. But my thing is, why aren't you and every other person out here that has great, amazing platforms, like, why ain't y'all saying, yo, it's fucked up? Why ain't y'all complaining about it? Why don't y'all, nobody's never says anything about him not being held to the fire like everybody else to do interviews. So that's all I'm saying, man. People gotta look at things in a small box because that's what their phone is, a small box. Expand your mind, go outside and just look in the air. People need to go outside, put the phone down for half an hour and just look up and because your mind closes in when you're always looking at something so small. Look out to where you can't see anymore and just let your mind kind of breathe and expand.
Right. But I want to backtrack, man. I want to backtrack to a comment you made earlier about M. You said that he don't make good music. And I know you and him, y'all going back and forth and y'all beefing. But I mean, M, he got some heat in his catalog, man. I mean, it got to be something in his catalog that you're a fan of, man. So keeping it real, man. What was the last project by M that you was a fan of? Honestly.
I think the Tupac that he did with Pac was horrible. I think that album, I think that was a disgrace. I think he should have never had the fucking music, Pac's lyrics to do it. I understand maybe at the time of Feeney, it was a money thing. He probably paid for that because that there was the closest that he would be to Pac. But that was another insult on our culture and community, what he did with that album. That was trash. Maybe.
So you wasn't feeling the Loyal to the Game album?
That was, come on, man. That was not it. What did you think?
I mean, me being a big Pac fan, I wasn't a big fan of that album.
That wasn't it. And then you're talking Tupac, somebody who you love listening to, over that. It's like he took Pac's lyrics and he put his beats and nah. He should have never got the okay to play with Pac's voice like that and his legacy.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they manipulated Pac's voice on that album, right?
But when Timbaland just did AI with Biggie, everybody shit on Timberland. But nobody said nothing about Eminem. And this is what the fuck I'm talking about. This is the lame ass shit that I'm talking about. The lame ass shit that I'm talking about. My ATL nigga. For real.
But hey, yo, you made a comment saying that, Royce 5'9", he be writing for M. Why you say that, yo?
Come on, of course. Like, if y'all think that all these studio sessions that Eminem was in, that Royce never wrote him nothing, that D12 never wrote him nothing, that all, like, stop, man. Like, what is the matter with people? Of course he took some lines. He's not connected to our culture to know everything, so of course, why not? Royce gave him some lines. It's part of hip hop. And when I wrote Rap Elvis, when I said I was in the studio with a couple of guys, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, lines get passed all the time. I wrote probably 97%. Like, come on, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, again, he's held to a different standard. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, so it is true then. You got help with Rap Elvis.
That's not help. I don't consider it help. Like, you know what I'm saying? The song's 4.5, you know what I'm saying, minutes. And if somebody got a line and I'm sitting there telling him what I got and he comes with something, that's like, what is that? Man, people don't want to give me my props because the shit was so dope, but I wrote it. I wrote Rap Elvis. I was in the studio. I actually wrote Rap Elvis first before Votorious. You know, there's a couple of my guys was in there, I was smoking, drinking, having a good time. You know what I mean? A couple of good lines sounded dope. I kept it, and that was it. Nothing more than that. And I was truthful about it.
Speaking of Pac, right, what was the situation at the Sosa Awards where Pac, he made somebody in Q-Tip crew cry?
I mean, listen, man, we was at the 94 Source Awards, and, you know, this is the first Source Awards. Bernie Mac hosting it. The lights are going on and off. There's all kind of crazy shit. It was our first one. And we in the Paramount Theater inside Madison Square Garden. And it's crazy because the sound man is the one that plays all the music. So everything, you know, there's a script on what he has to play and when he has to play it. And, you know, it's pretty much has to be on time. Of course it wasn't, but try to get as close as possible. So I just remember when Q-Tip went up there and he's talking, you know, Q-Tip got that soft, subtle kind of voice. You know, he actually talks the way he raps and shit, like, you know. Like, yo, I like to thank, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, man, Pac just grabbed this nigga's mic. Out on Bill. I said, oh, man, like the most, when you think about it now, and this is kind of a new twist I'm putting on it, the amazing Q-Tip, because Q-Tip and Tribe Called Quest, rest in peace to Phife Dawg. One of our legendary rap groups, bar none. Original because of the voice of Q-Tip. His voice is so, you know what I'm saying? But and then Pac, yo! So it was like two contrasts, like the real subtle, here comes the wild, and it just took and just did Out on Bill. And he came up there with all of the outlaws, the ones that have passed away. Hussein was up there. Rest in peace to Hussein. Gaddafi was up there. Rest in peace to Gaddafi. Big Psych was up there. Out on Bill, he was up there. Like, think about it. And Pop, all four of those guys were all on stage, ain't with us now for that moment right there. He must have kind of like took over the sound man, because we've done that before. I remember the RSO used to just, if they didn't let us rock, yo, Hawk, go get the sound man. They just put the sound man in the pretzel for a minute, put the music in there, play our shit, take the music out, take them out the pretzel, and then everything good. That's probably what happened to our sound man at the Source Awards. I don't remember who he was, but I'm sure he was under a lot of stress with Pac and them when they put Out on Bail. And Pac went up there, did Out on Bail, and I was on the side where you walk in from the side of the stage. And I remember Chris Lighty, rest in peace, he was up there. And so, you know, a lot of people from that moment, Phife, Chris Lighty, all the Outlaws, Pac, think about it. That's like 6, 7 people in that moment of both groups that ain't even here no more. And then another twist was on it, was like Pac did that because of the Janet Jackson situation with Q-Tip and Janet, and I never even knew about it. I was like, damn, maybe. But I just remember they came back and one of them was crying. He was pissed off, man. And I just was standing there looking, you know, they didn't say nothing to me or whatever. It just, You know what I'm saying? Because, man, I was like, once he did, I'm like, I'm on the side of them, like, yeah, yeah. Then when they came out, I was like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to, like, you know what I'm saying? It was just a fucked up moment, but it was a dope moment. So it's hip hop.
Damn, man, they was backstage crying. What was they saying, yo?
One of them was crying. I remember Chris Lighty was holding on to, I think it was the DJ, and he was holding on to him, the DJ producer, Ali Shide, I think. And he was just crying. He was mad. It was, it was like they was upset. You know what I'm saying? I seen it. They just walked right past me, and that was it. He was out on bail, too. That was crazy. He was out on bail. The following year, the 95 one, he actually was in jail. So,
But my thing is this. It's a clip of Tupac with a red hat to the back, and he's in the back drinking water or whatever, talking.
Yeah.
Why they
Yeah,
ain't
getting
confront him?
interviewed.
They were scared?
They didn't confront him. And not only the Biggie was there too. That's what was so crazy. Like Biggie and Pac was in the building that night. There was no problems. That East-West Coast shit really wasn't going down right then. You know what I'm saying? East Coast, West Coast thing. And remember, Pac came in there with a bunch of Newark niggas. He wasn't really even with LA niggas like that. Yet. You know what I'm saying? A lot of outlaws were from Jersey. Shout out to, you know what I'm saying, Muta. Shout out to Edie. Yeah, shout out to all my guys, man. For real, man. Those are all my guys, man. I got songs with all of them. I got songs with Pac in the studio. I did songs with all of the outlaws in the studio. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm blessed.
Yeah, that's wild, man. I had no idea you and Tupac did a song. Like, how was that like, yo?
Yeah,
You
I
and
was
Tupac.
cool.
I didn't know y'all was cool, man.
I mean, I only met him one time through Freddie Fox. We had did a song together. Fox, it was featuring Freddie Fox, who was on Flavor Unit at the time. And Fox had a real good relationship with Pac. I just put up some posted footage of us at a show with Pac. I was on stage with him that I had forgot about. But he was cool as hell. That was the only time we really was in person together. He was in the studio for a couple of hours, man. It was kicking it. Him and Stretch, rest in peace to Stretch. It was dope. So he went and killed the verse. I mean, killed his verse quick. Like, I don't know if he had it already written or he read it and he just got up there and killed that shit fast. He was with Alamo from the Brand Nubians, Stretch, rest in peace, from the Live Squad, and his brother Mo Preem. And it was me and Freddie Fox, and the song was called Killer. It's on YouTube. You can listen. You can hear it. It's called Killer.
Right. Yeah. I know Tupac and Stretch was cool at one point, but they started beefing and shit after the quad thing.
I mean, that whole shit was fucked up. That was a fucked up situation. The thing, look, I can't speak on individual things, but I wasn't there. But I can say is this, and me knowing it, like I was a wild boy coming up with the RSO, but we was deep. So wherever we went, when we was always deep. It was like a little army. And you had to kind of, if you're going around the country, you had to travel like that. I thought that was the best way. Pac would just go around places just causing a bunch of shit by himself. You know what I'm saying? Pac would just feel that comfortable to be doing a bunch of shit with a bunch of niggas that he really didn't know. See, a lot of times you go through this hip hop journey, you don't know these niggas. You're just meeting a lot of these niggas, whether it be on the road, on the street, and you might have heard of niggas from the street, but you really don't know these niggas that you're interacting with. And if you're interacting them, Pac was like damn near alone at quad, like, you know what I'm saying? Moving around, he wasn't moving. You know what I'm saying? Like when you moving in certain areas around certain niggas, you got to have people with you, or you better make sure you have two of them things on you. Now we know Pac wasn't no bitch because he shot 2 police officers down here, so we know that. But eventually, and I notice if you're moving like that, eventually it's gonna come up. It's gonna catch up. If you're moving with chaos surrounding you at all times, as great as Pac was, as great as a revolution through his blood, he's one of my greatest. I got goosebumps talking about him. There'll never be another Tupac, ever. But that wild shit on a daily basis out here, that shit's gonna catch up to you. And he just was the wildest, and it just happened, and it was just around too many wild niggas that wasn't rappers. He got a group of wild niggas with him rapping, but he's interacting with wild, and I'm talking street niggas, security niggas, this nigga, that nigga. It's you know what I mean? It's a lot. You're exposing yourself to a lot of different energies. eventually that shit's gonna catch up to you. That's just how the story goes. I've been around it my whole life. You know, I still thank God I'm here, all the situations I've been through. Like I done been shot a few times. I done been through near-death situations a few times. That an inch here or a foot here or a place here or just left here, you know. But I'm also cognizant, I'm also thoughtful, and I'm trying to be 2 steps ahead of any type of shit. So I can give it before I receive it. You know, I've always rather be, you know, judged by 12 than carried by 6. That you have to. You have to have that mentality. You got to strike first in incidences or take yourself out the equation, either or. You got to outthink niggas. It's not always about the physical and the brute and the guns. Life is a thinking man's game. You got to outthink niggas to survive out here. It just can't be from this. Got to be both.
Yeah, speaking of that, you got shot by your nephew, right?
Yeah.
How does that happen, yo?
I mean, going to my mother's funeral, you know, hood money family You know what I'm saying? Our family's been broken down over 400 years of slavery. This is what the results of families are. You have to watch your back for your family, and you take the most bullshit from your family than you do strangers. Go figure. You know what I'm saying? It was unfortunate. It was at a time that my mother was being buried, but you know, I survived it. Life goes on.
Bro, he shot you at a funeral, bro? That's
On the way, it was on the highway, on a procession. But you know, he didn't go to jail. I didn't tell the, you know, I didn't snitch on him. He didn't go to jail. And you know, the rest is history.
you being the co-owner of the Source, right? How do you feel about the people that put the blame on y'all for the death of Tupac and Biggie? Because y'all was promoting it.
People are gonna try to find fault into anything. I mean, that's life. You know, especially when it comes to journalism. I don't, you know, people in their right mind know that you know, people in their right mind, those who know. That was blowing up anyways. If we had just as much to it, just as the labels had much just as to it. We're just reporting. At that point, Source never really got into gossip. You know, it wasn't a gossip thing, excuse me. So the Source really wasn't into gossip. It was just pretty much reporting what was going on. You know, we was into doing long reading features, not like gossip type of stories. Everybody in the world knew about the whole situation going on with Diddy and Bad Boy and Suge and Death Row. And it, you know, with Pac, and Biggie. And then, you know, when they both got killed, unfortunately, that was the realest hip hop ever been through. So it had nothing to do, that was going to go on with or without the Source. It's just a matter of you know, being on the West Coast when shit happens, being at Quad Studio when shit happens. I mean, being in Vegas. I mean, somebody's being shot. Unfortunately, there's a black man shooting and being shot right now as we speak. I mean.
But at that point in real time, how did you feel about it? Because you know you got people that blame Pac and Suge, and you know they make, you know, Big and Puffy look like the Saints, like they ain't do nothing wrong. And you know they the ones that dropped Who Shot You after Tupac got shot. But you know, from your point of view, how you feel about it?
I mean, no. I mean, come on, now we got to call a spade a spade. Pac went extra hard on Bad Boy. Bad Boy wasn't that type of label as far as trying to battle rap and disrespect rap. Biggie really wasn't into that too much. You could just see it, just based off of history when you look back. Pac was about that bombing and death row. That they was on that. Bad Boy was doing it a little different. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, once Pac said, "I f***ed your wife," like, what the f***? Like, you know, there's not nothing worse than that. I can't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, yeah, they was going a little bit extra, you know, than Bad Boy. To me, my opinion.
You had any kind of interaction with Suge?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I mean, me and Suge met a couple of times. It wasn't too much. No, wasn't too much interaction as far as Suge goes.
Y'all never had any tension or anything? Any run-ins? Like,
Nah, nah, hell no. Not at all. I remember one time, I guess he was trying to rough up Steve Stout. I was in the studio, and I think Tone from the Trackmasters was like, yo, Suge's downstairs roughing up Steve. And what the fuck you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Steve better handle that. You know what I'm saying?
so he was roughing up Steve Stout.
I think he was downstairs roughing up Steve Stout for some shit that Steve. And Tone ran upstairs like, yo, they're downstairs roughing up Steve. You know, I know one thing. He put out some great music. I know that. I know when Suge had the Realms of Death Row at that time, some of the greatest music hip hop's ever had, especially from the gangster side. So
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. I mean, the run they had was legendary, man. I mean, yeah, you can't front on that, man. But I want to ask you, what was the situation between you and Paul Pierce? Cause if I'm not mistaken, some dudes that you was cool with is the ones that stabbed him, right? In a nightclub.
um, Boston was a city that was, you know, ganged out in the 80s and 90s, right? Late 80s, early 90s. Like the thing with Boston is that it's such a small area that if you got beef with somebody, you're gonna find them. So if you having gangs in that type of environment is worse than having gangs where your shit is spread out miles and miles and miles. I came up with an idea. At that point, I you know, I was pretty successful in the hood with hip hop, in the hood in Boston, and rap, and you know, doing my thing. Source had really taken off yet, but I had a real good reputation out there in the street, and I was getting money. We had put out some music, and I came with the idea like, look, there's a way that I can give back to the hood, all the hoods, without people being mad. Because I know if I would just go and grab one rap group out of one project, then everybody else would be upset. So I said, you know what? I'll go grab one or two, because everybody's rapping at this time. Boston's are separated by projects and blocks. I said, I'm gonna go grab a group or a solo artist out of each project and block and call them the Wise Guys. I had already called our group the Made Men, you know, call them the Wise Guys and put them all together. And, you know, some of this murder could stop. And we could start doing hip hop shows, because you really couldn't do shows in Boston because everybody would fight and everybody be scared, you know. So I said, well, let me just, this will be a way we can calm the violence down. You know what I'm saying? We start doing more shows and shit. And I ended up putting guys together that had been killing each other for almost 20 years. You know, generational projects like Academy Homes and Orchard Park. You know, it worked. One year, our murder rate was like 120. The next year, it was like 30. And they called it the Boston Miracle. And then Boston got a bunch of money from Washington, D.C. Bill Clinton came down. I never got the credit. Long story short, I got him got the Wise Guys a deal on Def Jam. Now, these guys are the, you know, these are the worst of the worst when it comes to the city. You know, real, you know, when I say that, not in a bad way, because I'm a part of that, but how Boston looked at these guys. You know, gangbangers, drug dealers. I mean, that was it. That's all we did. And hip hop. So we was doing a release party. I had got him a distribution deal on Def Jam. I got him it was all in the Source magazine. I got him a Pele deal, Avarex deal to do ads. I mean, you know, I put them on tour with each other. I would put the worst ones I would put the ones who had the worst enemies on tour with each other, because then I figure if they're out of town, it would be Boston against whoever they're out of town with, not necessarily their projects against each other. And it worked. Some of these guys are still friends to this day. Like, that shit would have never happened. About 12, 13 guys. Put a lot of my own money in it too. It worked, man, you know. And then, so one night we gave an album release party. All the Wise Guys are coming. It's downtown too, you know, so it kind of was like, whoa, this is pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? Because that was rare. So we're downtown, so I guess the Celtics had came that night. Now, you know, I knew Paul from Kansas because I'm a big Celtics fan. And we was drafting him #1. He was the shit coming out of college. So it's like, oh shit, we're gonna pair him up with Antoine Walker. We getting ready to like make some noise again. We had sucked for so long. Everybody was happy that Paul was coming. I think we was in last fucking place the year before. So that night, something had happened, me and my man Hirsch. Something had happened, because we're in the club, and let's say me and Hirsch are over here by the pool table, and they over there by where the music's at, the DJ. You know, you notice that the Celtics in it, because these niggas is tall as you know what I'm saying? I remember Tony Battie was in there. When Paul got there, right, I couldn't recognize him. Like he was in the club, I didn't even know. It's not like the club was super big, but I think it had 2 floors. So I didn't recognize if he was in there. Because when you see a nigga on TV and basketball, the first time you're seeing him in a dark nightclub, you're not even gonna recognize him really. Because I didn't. A fight breaks out, niggas is over there beefing. That's a regular thing in Boston. Niggas fight. That happens all the time in clubs. That's why we never had no clubs. It was guaranteed to be fights. I mean, bloody fucked up fights, dying fights, all kind of shit. Shootouts, stabbings. Anyways, niggas is giving this one dude the business. Nobody else jumped in with. That's one thing I noticed. No other Celtics went over there to help Paul that night. And there was a few of them in there. Nobody went over there to help him. Now, me and Hirsch, my man, Tony Hirsch, we're standing to the side watching everything. And we seeing, you know, the whole situation. And we're just like, damn, look at this shit. If I'd known that was Paul, I would have went over there. Because I seen niggas, it was, you know, he was the only one. But it happened so regularly. But if I knew it was Paul Pierce, the #1 draft pick of the Celtics, I would have went over there and stopped that. When Paul was laid out, the lights came on, everybody's rushing to get the fuck out of there. I'm running downstairs to my car. I'm walking fast in the parking lot. And I think Tony Battie and his brother was like, yeah, it was Made Man Benzino. He's right next to me saying my name. So I jump in the whip. Come to find out, you know, people are talking. Paul was getting real aggressive with, you know, one of the wise guy's girls. And he told him to chill. And I guess Paul didn't chill. And he was being real aggressive with his girl. The rest is history. Now,
what you mean by aggressive?
Like trying to holler at her. You know, trying to just, you know what I'm saying? After somebody like, yo, that's my girl or whatever. And then, you know, words fly. It happens so much. Everybody by me talking this can see this. This happens all the time. You have your girl with you, some nigga getting, yo, homie, she's with me. You're supposed to only take one time. You know, the rule is you're supposed to take one time. And if you didn't know, that's your time to chill. If you still saying something after that, then niggas have died from that shit. Like graveyards, jails are full of niggas over shit like that. So this ain't nothing new. I ended up rushing back to New York because I knew this shit was getting ready to hit the fan. You know, this was all every news, every world news. I mean, this was crazy, you know, because he got stabbed up pretty bad. Now, my lawyer said that they went in there, the gang task force with the picture book, and they kept, Paul was on his bed. He just lived. Like an inch away from his lung, heart, something, or his lung, something. But he got fucked up. And they kept pointing at my picture, and they wanted him to say it was me. They kept telling him to do it. Kept telling him. In his bed. He didn't pick me, but he picked. Remember I told you my man next to me? The whole time when all this happened? Picked him. He was nowhere near when that shit was going on. We're watching, looking at each other, shaking our head like, look at this shit. Because again, it's supposed to be the Wise Guys record release party. We're watching shit go down. So I had to get a lawyer. So we had to come back. You know, we got stopped at the airport, put in cuffs. Hearst ended up getting locked up. We had to bail him out. I had to pay for a lawyer. Took it to trial. God willing, thank God, he 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 didn't get locked up. They found him not guilty, but Roscoe and Trev, Roscoe got like 20 years and Trev got a bunch of time. And, Paul Pierce picked him out. He said those are the ones who stabbed and punched him.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So he
Yeah.
told and everything.
He told. Now, my thing is this, right? I've told the story before without saying that Paul told, because I want to, but my guys did years behind that shit. When I see Paul do the Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes interview, I thought he was real kind of, I thought he was too loose with it, with his answers. This guy's still sitting in jail for that shit right now. And, for you to be, he should have manned up to his actions, because not only that's telling the truth, and that's some real nigga shit, but also you're going to help these other young guys out here who are in different cities on how they act and their behavior. You're going to let them know, don't do the shit that I did. Be aggressive in some other city's girl with a real nigga's chick. Like, don't be he needs to tell that, because he almost died from that, and my guys got a lot of time from that. So to me, if he's the truth, then he needs to tell the truth on what happened that night. It got swept under the rug. I watched how a city cried for a black man and loved the black man. I watched a racist ass city feel so bad for Paul Pierce, but hated the fuck out of me. Who told Jadakiss to tell them probably same police that they should have killed me. That's the difference. If you go swing a ball and bounce a ball and dunk a ball for Boston, they love you as a black man. But you in the streets just trying to hustle to get by, they fucking despise you as a black man.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So he was trying to holler at another dude chick, and that's why he got stabbed. Yeah.
That pretty much was why. I mean, nobody just, again, it was a place where it was a night of celebration, so niggas wasn't on that shit. Paul just got too aggressive. Paul's from Inglewood. I've heard stories about Paul. Now, I've met Paul a couple of times. Not like he was a bad guy or whatever, but, these guys that I love, those are my guys, and I love them guys. And it was unfortunate. It was fucked up.
I never knew the real reason behind that, man. So, yeah, that's crazy, man. But I want to ask you, what was the issue between you and Busta Rhymes? Because I know you felt the type of way about him being in a video with your daughter and she was half naked.
Listen, me and Busta Rhymes been friends for a long time. Friends. We've actually was together right before 9/11 happened. We was at the studio that night. Me and Spliff was super cool. I guess my comments, I don't know if it rubbed them the wrong way or whatever, but I'm just speaking as a father. I just felt like, Busta, before he did that video, with that particular video, he should have just got in contact with. That's it. I was asked on live if I heard the song, and I said no. I had heard the song. I thought the song was dope, but I just felt, that's my baby girl, and I as far as him doing that with her, I just felt that we had a good enough relationship where, we could have spoke before it happened. But it wasn't a major situation. People take things and, make them go out of proportion or whatever, listen, Coy is of age. I don't want to say she's grown. I don't think kids at 24, 25 are grown. In their mind, they might be, but they're of age. There's still a lot of things that they haven't gone through to get them to that grown stage. But that's just my opinions and how I look at it. She's of age to make her own decisions, and she's going to make them decisions. And those are decisions that each one of them made. And, that's over with. So I just wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have done something with Busta's daughter without clearing it with him first.
For you, it's just a respect thing. That's my daughter, such and such. Yeah, I get it.
It's my daughter. I mean, what I'm saying? And then, like how my daughter, what I'm saying? Like with the way she, as an artist, in her creativeness and how she dresses and everything, I just felt that him being my age, just a little awkward for me,
Yeah, I get it. I mean, me looking at it from your point of view, you being a dad, Yeah, I get it, man. But I want to ask you, what was your issue with Nas? Because I heard that Shaw had him surrounded. Like, what was the issue with that, yeah?
No, no, no. It wasn't. It wasn't. We didn't have Nas surrounded. We just. It was a situation where we was at the Palladium. Biggie was performing. Us, Mobb Deep, rest in peace, Prodigy, and Nas was all performing. It was big for us coming from Boston. We went up there about 30 deep, and we get to the Palladium, and I think we go to the dressing room. So we're deep. When Nas come, he's mad deep. That was their dressing room, and words words got said, and we about to probably get it in, but each side had straps on them. But me and LES, his DJ, man, we're great friends today. We kind of at that moment spoke, and then everything was cool. We kind of squashed it. Shout out to Nas. Esco's done so much. Nas has done so much, man. Shout out to him and his whole crew. I seen the journey. I seen it from the start, and he's one of the guys that, believe me, I admire, look up to, and yeah, Nas is dope.
Right, right. So it was about to get real at one point.
Well, I mean, yeah, we had a bunch of guns on us. I'm sure they had a bunch of guns, and I remember Roscoe and I think Wiz had got nose to nose almost. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, me and LES, I was his DJ, man. We got to talking, man, and it was all good. I think they went to performing, and I think there was a big fight upstairs, and the whole show got shut down anyway. We never even got to perform. I don't think we did we? I don't remember. Maybe we did perform.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm happy y'all squashed that, man. That sounded like that was about to get ugly, man. But I was looking at a video that you made to Joe Budden, right? And you made a comment about Melissa Ford. You and her dated?
I mean, I smashed. Nothing to write home to mother about, as they say, old school shit. But she was a video chick in the Made Men video we did with the Lops. I flew in from Canada. Wasn't not too much to brag about. Only reason I brought her up is because while he's sitting there trying to clown me, she's sitting there trying to be Miss. You ain't saying nothing. How come you didn't say nothing? Like, nah, me and Zeno's cool, me and Z's cool. Nah, all right. Since we in the time of blasting, we're gonna blast your ass too.
Right, right. Yeah, I ain't know that, man. But she made a comment, about her being dry in the video. What she mean by that?
It's a Canada Dry. Nah, man, you got nothing bad. We hooked up, you know what I'm saying? She was a video chick. I'm sure she hooked up with a lot of artists.
But when you say dry, do you mean like the sex was dry, or do you mean like
The vagina.
yikes? Yeah,
I'm so
man.
parched.
Damn. Damn, yeah. Damn. Can you get that fixed? That's not a
I
yikes,
don't
man.
know, man. I like it. I like that wet wet. Mine's got that wet wet. My beautiful black queen got that wet wet.
Yeah, I think every female I had. Yeah, every female I had a situation with, they was where I haven't.
You've never had nothing that was a little blue parched.
Nah, I never had a dry one, man. Hopefully, I never run into that, situation, man.
I think dry is from fucking too much. I think too much fucking.
But if you go into a dry situation, do you got to use like lube or whatever? Because I mean that can hurt, right?
I mean, yeah, you'd want to. Hell yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? But if your condom's already lubed up, then you should be all right.
Did you have to lube her up, or the condom did the work for you?
I don't. You know what? I don't even remember. I just remembered it wasn't. It was. It was. Because I didn't continue it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't continue it. Shit that you continue is what you like.
Yeah, I hope she got that situation fixed, man.
Hey, she needs to. Maybe Joey will fix it for her. Her co-host, the co-host. Shout out to Flip. Shout out to my man Queens Flip. Flip, you have my back up there. Shout out to Flip.
Hey, I mean, that's your opinion, man. But what's the deal with this rumor that's going around that you gay? It's like everybody that you beefing with, they all pushing this narrative.
Yeah, I don't listen. But again, I don't know how to keep explaining about like, I can wholeheartedly say that I've never wanted to be with a man. I've never been with a man. I've never wanted to be with a transvestite. I've never been with a transvestite. That particular person I've never even seen in real life, like met in real life. There's really nothing too much to keep talking about. Like I just, I let people talk about that on the internet. God help them if they was to ever in person play with me in my manhood in person. God help them and God forgive me. I don't, you know, I love women. Like, how could you even think about a man? You see how beautiful, like my woman's beautiful as hell. She's black and beautiful. Like, I love my Ashley. Like, what the, I've had some of the most beautifulest women on this planet Earth. I don't know what makes a man want a man or a dick and balls, but that's them. It's not me. And I'm not going to keep talking about it. Joe Budden admitted to liking women and dick and balls. So I don't know what's on Joe Budden's mind. Joe Budden's never physically seen me with a transvestite or anybody else. So I don't, Joe's mad. Joe's pissed off. He's mad. I mean, Joe was upset. You know what I'm saying? I guess, I don't know. I don't know what's on Joe's mind, but I know that he admitted he fucks with women and dick and balls. That's what he likes. And men's booties. That's what Joe likes. And I have gay friends, bro. See, this is what I'm saying about this fucking conversation. It's fucked up because I got gay friends that I'm cool with, that I have a lot of love for. I hate this conversation. Like, whatever somebody wants to do in their fucking bedroom, let them do it, man. I don't care about that. But, if you mention me, just mention me. Zeno will go through his life without ever fucking with transvestos or men. And, and it looks like my sons are also. And I'm happy about that. I'm happy that my son loved women too. My father loved women and my grandfather loved women. And like, we're keeping that tradition alive.
I feel you, man. I respect it. How you feel about the people that say that, the source, they was biased back then when it came to, other regions like the West and the South?
I mean, again, when New York was popping, New York was popping. Once LA started popping, LA started getting, Snoop and them got a lot of coverage. A lot of Tupac, Death Row. I mean, Eazy-E. I mean, it didn't matter where you was. It's just that New York back then was the Mecca. So, and the office was in New York. So maybe it was going on like that. I'm sure once LA started getting its own identity and everything, then LA, but LA had to go through its growing pains like any other communities that are going through now. Imagine how long the South took when LA and New York and all the amazing talent down here. Everybody has to go through their growing pains as a city and as a place on the map to make their mark in hip hop. Just don't come easy.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. But I want to backtrack, right, to a comment you made earlier about Suge. You said that, Suge, he used to pay to perform at the award show?
I mean, everybody, if you wanted a big set, you had to pay for it, or the label.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that's how Dave did it. Yeah, Dave did that. He was like, look, if you guys want a big set, you pay for it, whatever you want. We got the room, we got the stage.
How much was he paying?
I think that Suge thing was probably about 40, 50 bands. And then remember, he also flew in a bunch of people. I mean, it was just a cell set up with lights on a stage. You know what I'm saying? But about 50,000.
Yo, that's a good price though, right there, yeah.
I mean, it was 1995. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, about 50 bands to do this set.
Tell me about your relationship with Eazy, yo.
Man, I mean, met him a couple of times, and another major influence on my life because he was about to sign us, and all of a sudden, when he passed from AIDS, that was hard. I mean, I think within 6 weeks of us meeting twice in New York, and then getting the contracts together, then him going into Cedar Sinai, then him dying, it was like 6 weeks. had our contracts ready to be signed and everything. It would have been our first album deal. We ended up signed to Jay Prince to Rap a Lot, but that would have been RSO's first album deal to Ruthless. Me up, me up, because I didn't know about AIDS either. You know, that me up.
Damn, bro, I didn't know that. Damn, that is. Yeah, and a lot of people say he was in like a good state, in a good situation too before he passed. Like a lot of people be questioning
I
that
mean,
too. Like, yo, did he really die?
nah, he was, man, like I said, he had a Dr. Dre. Remember, Dre had just gave him that whole, he had the whole catalog. Eazy was doing good. They were signing Bone Thugs, his wife and the other boy was signing Bone Thugs, and he was just now, getting ready to, pop off the, I guess that situation with Suge was over with, and he was looking, but then he went to the hospital, and I talked to him like maybe the day before, 2 days before he died. He didn't even mention AIDS.
He didn't mention it, yo. That's what I'm saying. Like people I
No,
talk
he didn't
to,
mention AIDS. He was saying bronchitis. He was telling me bronchitis. He never mentioned AIDS.
yeah, everybody I see with AIDS, man, like you could tell they got AIDS and everything. So, yeah, that's crazy. Damn. And he was songing and regular on the phone and everything.
Nah, his voice, the few days I talked, he was, but then the last day, his voice was fucked up and scratchy. And he said he was going to be all right. So I just got, someone said once I get out, he's signing the contract. If he would have signed the contract while he was in the hospital, we still would have been on route. Well, not today, but I'm just saying they would have had to give us our deal.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I had no idea that, you could pay to perform at them award shows back then. Yeah, that's wild, man. But tell me about the situation y'all had with the Rough Riders. What happened with that, yo?
Just, I mean, the only thing I could say that wasn't said is that, it was just the situation was, it was deeper than the Rough Riders, and it had nothing to do with them. It was unfortunate because we was really close. Still are, I still have a great relationship with all of them. But back then, we had just did Tommy's theme, and we always respected them as a group, and we was a group made men. So just an unfortunate situation. Luckily nobody got killed, and we had to sit down. And I think the craziest thing is when Kissing was saying that the police was telling them that they should have killed me. They should have got me. Because that happened. They was in the police station when they said that to him. But it just was it kind of put a black eye on the tour, man. We did so well on the tour, and we were so proud of ourselves. But, things happen, man. And, like I said, nobody got killed. And, you move on. You move on, and you try to leave some type of example for these young kids out here. And just try to, let them know, look, that was a situation that better communication could have avoided all that. Better communication could avoid a lot of things. And it just was the wrong place at the wrong time. It wasn't nothing that don't happen like all the time, man. Just we could have communicated better because it really had nothing to do with them. It was a situation that would happen with DMX and a girl, and I ain't even talking about it again because when you talk about shit and all this shit happens over a chick, it's like, what the bro? So, and plus X ain't even here, man. And shout out to the legend X, man. Rest in peace. But it
So it
just
was over a female.
ultimately it was over a female. A female that was on tour, like all the fucking chicks on tour. When it goes back to when you take all the layers off it, there's a female there. You know what I'm saying?
A female that's most likely fucking with other niggas too. But
And that's what happens when it gets parched.
come on, man. Ah, man. Yo, you and Dave Mays, how y'all situation right now? Y'all cool?
I mean, I ain't talked to Dave in a minute. Dave doing his thing with Breakbeat Media, this thing he's doing with Suge. I ain't talked to Dave in a minute.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Dave Mays, man. That's my guy, man. So before we end the interview, any last words when it comes to him? Because everybody going crazy about the crime situation. So you already said everything you got to say about that before we end the interview.
I mean, me and Nori are real good friends off camera. So this would have been I think my third or this probably my fourth Drink Champs. And I'm not too much of a drinker. You know what I'm saying? I'm really I'm really not that much of a drinker. I really don't do the alcohol thing too much. But I kind of, I kind of had a lot of up in me, this whole Eminem situation. I dropped the 2 songs on him, and it's just like a lot of, like, the energy's just real. The energy's real big right now, and I just felt like going on there. I told my girl, I said, "Look, I'm gonna try something different." And I know the type of person I am when I do drink from the past, and it makes me emotional, at times belligerent. I just want to kind of see, I kind of want to see what the interview is going to be like if I, you know, if I had them spirits talking. That's why they call it spirits. But I really I wanted to be open. And I know what liquor does to me, gets me emotional. I didn't know I was going to get that emotional, but the way I look at it, from me, as far as crying, like, I probably got a lot built up in me, inside of me, from a lot of years. I got a lot of miles. I'm 58. I'll be 59 in 6 months. And, you know, growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the streets, all the stuff that I've been through, it's a lot. It's years and years and years of a lot. So as I look at it now, I just probably figure that that's all built up inside of me. And, I go through my day-to-day pretty well at suppressing it. A lot of the stuff, my traumas in the past, I try to wipe them out. And that's how I deal with them, to not even think about the past, because I got too much to worry about now. I have a lot of great accomplishments from my past that I don't think about. And I have a lot of real traumatic experience I don't think about. So it goes both ways. And that's how I survive daily out here, being the age I am and what I've been through. Saying all that, I just had a lot of built up in me. And I knew, I knew what I was doing. I knew to drink so I could open up, because there was I do so many interviews, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, I hold back. A lot of times I try to be politically correct, because I've been kind of labeled as the bad guy and so much, and always, seemed like people were coming at me, that I said, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to let it all out. And I knew alcohol would help me do that. When I look at it, I didn't say anything wrong. That's one thing. Everything I said was pretty much in alignment of how I feel as I am sober. Um, I wanted to do that on purpose, just because I wanted to see, kind of get like an out of body experience and really see where I take it. Because, it's true. A lot of stuff I said when I was crying was true, as far as us as a people and the damage that we're doing day after day, to our culture, and we don't even know it. Or maybe we're not paying attention to it. And me growing up without the internet, and growing up really outside, and growing up different from the internet, it made me really understand both worlds. Like, I really understand both worlds. And I really see, of course, they say things are a gift and a curse, but I see more of a curse with the internet when it comes to us. I see our algorithms, the Black community, the Black people's algorithms. I see our algorithms are a mess, if that's what we're going to call them now. And which basically just our behavior and what we're putting out there. And that's being exploited. That's being exploited. There are other countries, mainly China, they don't let their kids they don't involve their kids with the foolishness and the dangerousness that's on the internet for their kids. Our youth is growing up in pandemonium and chaos when it comes to the internet. And I want everybody to realize that. It could be used as a great tool for knowledge and a great tool for enlightenment and to help you in a lot of ways. But we're using it in a major way, in a wrong way. And I'm just saying, man, like the way these kids are killing each other, the way they're going on the internet, the way we communicate, the way the disrespect is, the way the competition, the judging, the criticizing, it's just too much. You know, for us to even thrive is amazing, which shows how great our people are. But to us, even like kind of, you know, survive in this foolishness and this chaos is mind-boggling. You know, I don't regret crying. I've cried before. I got no problem crying. You know, I need to cry because it helps me from probably not hurting somebody. It probably helps me from not hurting myself or people around me. You know, I grew up hard, you know, yeah, you know, crying, a lot of people can look at it as weak, especially these young guys, because that's all we got out there. When I was young, I never cried either. My sons, my 8-year-old holds in his cry when I'm mad at him or something, he holds his cry in. He does not want to cry. All my sons did that when they grew up because I'm hard and I expect that out of them. But you know what? Being hard and living like that for so long, that'll kill you or get you killed. So me being vulnerable and me understand what vulnerability is now and me understanding that crying is healthy for me, I don't have any regrets for that, you know, because, you know, I'm still Benzino. Motherfuckers still get out of line with me. I'm going to handle him in ways that he's not even going to be thinking about me crying.
Real talk, man. Benzino, good interview, my man.
It was a good one. It was a good one. Art of dialogue, baby.